Hello, dear listener. It's your host and Gamemaster, Brian. Before we get started with this episode, we wanted to take a moment to share some exciting news. We've just joined the Umbrella Podcast Collective. This group of podcasts are working together to bring you some exciting content themed around mysteries, spooky subjects, and/or the Pacific Northwest. First up, take a listen to the trailer for Audibly Haunted.
Welcome to Audibly Haunted. I'm your host, Ani Kachadorian. The paranormal is all around us. Sometimes, it's the lady in black that haunts your basement, or maybe the dark shadows that lurk out in nature, or maybe places of the past. And sometimes, the supernatural, the unexplainable, live within the pages of the books upon your shelves. Here at Audibly Haunted, we dive into different haunted literary works, myths, and folklores every week, simply trying to, well, make sense of it all. You can find Audibly Haunted on Instagram at Audibly Haunted, and you can find the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or anywhere you get your podcasts. Again, welcome to Audibly Haunted. So, let's dive into that.
Welcome back to Spirits and Monsters of Old Seattle. Our investigators are in a little bit of a rough place. They have confronted a terrifying Vossen after having just caught sight of the mysterious Roger Burns. A man who has definitely not been kidnapped, at least by a Akane, the person who has been accused of it. What he has been kidnapped by, we'll find out. Now, I've got just a little bit of intro for you. The world around you is quiet and still. The sound of the thunderous rain still echoes in your ears as the roiling storm clouds follow after the Vossen who burst upon the scene, cast aside the cottage's roof as if it was nothing, and then stole away with Roger Burns. Dr. Jensen and Julian stand side by side, paralyzed with fear amidst the charnel scene of half-uncovered bodies in the torn-up remains of a garden. Sofie looks down at the camera in her hand, hoping she was able to successfully capture Roger Burns' face on film before he was taken, and that her friends will soon return to their senses. Both men stare agape, trembling and unable to move after seeing the enormous beast display such casual and terrifying strength. But as their wits slowly return, they must ask themselves an important question. What could this Vossen be, and why is it holding Roger Burns captive? Phoenix, Bill, your characters slowly come back to themselves after having been frozen in fright. Julian's pants are very wet, probably from the rain.
Mostly from the rain. Mostly from the rain.
Almost definitely.
Not entirely. Mostly.
What are the three of you going to do?
I am going to fall down on my butt.
Sofie is, as soon as she gathers her wits for a second, she's going to run out there and try to, harass them back to their senses. Like shake them a little bit and snap her fingers and be like, look, we can't just stand here and watch. Like, we have to figure out what we should do.
It takes a minute, but they both come back to their senses. Julian is down on his butt on the ground.
Julian, you do have spare pants in your violin case, don't you?
I am just looking wide-eyed still at where the roof was just torn off of this building. And I just kind of wave my hand kind of dismissively. Yeah, of course. And I just shake my head and I'm just on my butt, just staring over at the house, the hovel, the ruins.
Like, you can see that roof was thrown probably a good solid 30 or 40 feet.
Seeing that he is like actually really distraught, she'll kneel down even though it's muddy because she has her her 80 pounds of books in her skirts like thrown over her shoulder, and she'll just kneel next to him and like, you know, put a hand on his shoulder and try to comfort him for a second and help him calm down a little bit.
That was big. Lucius will kind of turn to Julian, Sofie, kind of looking more at Sofie. You saw that creature, right?
I did, and I don't know off the top of my head what it was. Do I?
Well, I would let you make a learning test at this point in the mystery. But before you do, I will also put an offer on the table. If anyone can tell me where the name of this mystery, in Fen and Fastness, came from, I will give you an extra inspiration for this mystery.
No Googling. I got nothing.
Yeah, no Googling. An extra advantage, pardon me.
Neither Julian nor Phoenix has any idea.
Yeah.
I'm leaving that to the book people.
No, nothing.
All right. I will reveal where that came from later on in the session.
Uh-oh.
However, feel free to make your learning test.
Right.
But I want to know it now.
That is 1 success on 9 dice.
Would you like to push that roll at all? Aaron, ask yourself, what would Salt and Peppa do?
Wait, don't...
Real good.
Go on and push it.
Wait a minute. Don't I have...
Are you asking if you have advantages on this?
Do I have advantage on this? I don't think I do. No. I do not. Can you tell me if I will at least get to know what kind of Austin it is, even if I don't push it, or no?
You will know what kind of Austin it is, but you will not get the majority of the information.
Well, fine.
You don't have to.
Peer pressure.
You can also, if you'd like... Never mind, you've already rolled it.
I rolled it. That's 2 more successes.
That gives you 3?
So yes, that's a total of 3.
Okay, that'll give you everything.
Yeah.
You know that this particular type of Vasen is without a doubt a troll.
Oh, if only I had known at the time and I could have shouted, "Troll!"
Trolls reside in secret places on the edges of human civilization. They may look outwardly human with some odd characteristics such as cloven hooves or a tail, or they may be monstrous and huge. Trolls are naturally skilled at magic, and many carry enchanted items that they may be willing to trade with humans who are kind to them. Of course, bargains made with a troll must be honored, or the troll will see to it that the betrayal faces terrible consequences.
Mm-hmm.
Trolls will often swap their children with human babies, with the trollish children commonly being called a changeling. Forest trolls are clever and wise, while mountain trolls are fierce and frighteningly strong, with multiple arms or even multiple heads, and are related to giants. Mountain trolls will turn to stone if exposed to sunlight. Trolls can sometimes form friendly relations with human neighbors, but they abhor all Christian symbols. All trolls hate Christian symbols and rituals so much that a crucifix placed upon their hearth will force them to abandon their home, and holy words spoken in their den will turn their food rancid. That said, It's no easy task bringing Christian symbols into a troll's lair, because they are warded against such objects. The only way to bring them inside is to put them into a pocket, flip your coat inside out, and walk backwards through the front door while speaking backwards.
Good lord!
The troll's magic will be tricked into believing that you are leaving the den and permit entry. You must never eat a troll's food, or you'll be magically bound to its will. But you must also try to never give offense if you are offered the food, or you will earn its ire. Some trolls have exaggerated features, like huge nostrils or extra wide mouths. These grant them vastly stronger senses, but can harm them if a sensation becomes too strong.
So, if the creature we saw had extra large ears, one could assume it's strong sense of hearing?
Absolutely.
Lucius will look over to Sofie. Should have brought the shotgun.
Yeah. When was the Vuvuzela invented?
That is a fascinating question. That said, I don't think you can make it to South Africa and back.
Probably not. So that obviously that seems to have been a mountain troll, but what it's doing here in, well, near on to civilization is a mystery, and I wonder if perhaps it had formed some bond with the woman that lived here and now is exacting his revenge for what these men have done. I'm not sure.
I guess, did Julian and I notice the troll holding Roger? Roger?
You sort of saw it. Given the dark, it was a little hard for you to see, but in the light of your hurricane lamp, you were able to see it scoop Roger up in one of its arms.
Okay. Well, and I'm sure Sofie would have, I guess, told us about that too. Sofie, are trolls known to keep prisoners? This was someone that was trapped in the house, correct?
Yes. He was trapped in the house. I'm not sure that the type of magic that he was trapped with is necessarily originating with the troll. Brian?
A chain with no means of opening it does sound like something that a troll might create.
Oh, okay.
They are very skilled at creating magical objects.
Gotcha. Okay.
So that could be something that it made to hold him tight.
But I wonder why it would have left him there in the house only to come back. What did anything happen in the moments before it showed up that might have triggered his coming?
No.
There's nothing that immediately jumps out to you.
So I don't know why I would have just left him there and then come back seemingly randomly later to retrieve him.
Well, you said Roger told you to be quiet, to not make too much noise.
Yes.
Maybe just us being here spooked or warned the creature to come retrieve his prisoner.
But why not take it with him in the first place? That's what I don't understand.
I kind of look up from the ground, and still just kind of shaking my head, I kind of just wave a hand over in the direction of the like the garden area, and I don't know. I is that a mass grave? Is that a grave that it's been using, and it's put a bunch of people there, and maybe he was just waiting for something.
These bodies are not so far decomposed that we can't recognize like a face, correct?
Yeah, you could recognize faces.
Should we take photos of the people to see if we can find out who they were?
That might be a good idea. I mean, depending on your expert opinion as to the state of decay, Doctor, there were several other gentlemen, Ichiro Yoshida, Boomer Jack, and John Miller, who also disappeared, so perhaps they're among these bodies.
It'd be one way to find out, at least.
Is this something, Sofie, you're going to need to be here for this, looking at all of that? Or as far as the mass grave that we just kicked over there, is that something we just set the cops to?
Let's think about the ramifications of bringing in law enforcement. It might be a good idea. I want to make sure.
I feel like we should also consider the ramifications of taking photos of a bunch of bodies and then not telling anyone about it.
That is very creepy, in fairness.
Yes, I just want to ensure that there's no way that this scene and this situation could somehow be turned against Akani before we depart and alert the authorities.
And we don't know whose cabin this is, correct? So presumably this is whomever, the lady they burned down. Maybe we need to find out who that is so that maybe there's some connection that way.
Well, she's probably a witch. I spell it, though. I don't say it.
Just continue to shake my head. Still on my butt. Just legs kind of, popped up a little bit, crisscross applesauce. And I'm just sitting there shaking my head, looking between this ruined hovel and then eyes going back over to the garden.
We're all drenched from the rain, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's definitely the rain.
All right. I might suggest that we return to town and clean ourselves up. I don't know if there's anything else we can do here. And I think we need to figure some more things out about maybe this location. Unless we want to try and pursue after something, I don't know what else we can do. And Lucius will walk over and extend a hand down to Julian to grab to pull him up.
I stare at it for a second before kind of shaking my head, kind of trying to snap myself out of it a little bit, and take your hand and get up.
I'll look back over at Sofie. Wait, where's your skirt?
Oh, and I'll pick it up from where it fell behind Julian and just flop it back over my shoulder.
I like how it's more book bandolier now than book skirt.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's more like a giant sack of potato. You know how Santa Claus has his bag over his shoulder and all of the bulk is in the back, over the shoulder. He's carrying it. That's how it is.
Yeah, it's his bag of holding.
Yeah.
All right, so just to summarize, currently both Julian and Dr. Jensen are in pretty rough shape mentally. Sofie has one physical condition, but no mental conditions. And it sounds like you're thinking of maybe doing a rest and regroup. Is that right?
I think so. I think that's a good idea.
Lucius knows he's not in the best state, and it looks like Julian is kind of worse for wear as well. So, if nothing else, finding a dry seat and a warm meal might just help us kind of refocus, and maybe we want to go visit the burned down church, but I don't know what else we can hope to learn from here. And Lucius is not feeling confident enough to go trapezing after a troll that just ripped a roof off a cabin like it was a toy.
Well, on that note, I do have some good news for you all.
Oh no,
it's good news. Aaron, I bring good news. The three of you kind of look past the cabin as you're pulling yourselves together, and it is a very, very obvious path. Trees have been knocked down, areas of the ground have been knocked aside. so you will have no difficulty following the troll to its den, even if you go to rest up now.
I mean, do we want to try and follow to its den to know where it is?
That is a question that you will need to figure out.
I look at the two of them, and Dr. Jensen is like talking normally, but like his hands are shaking.
He's sort of staring into the middle distance.
He's just taking more sips off his flask.
Just like chain whiskeying, yeah. And Julian's still on the ground.
No, Julian's gotten up at this point. He got up,
but he's covered in mud. Maybe we should just go and take a few minutes and get. I wonder if there's what's the mechanic where you can like take a carriage and have a rest period or something?
You're in the woods right now, and
well, yeah, we're in the woods right now, but
yeah, and we probably don't want to call attention to ourselves in this location right now.
No, Julian yearned in the woods.
Oof. Minus 5 points, Bill. That was a piss poor joke.
I apologize for my potty humor.
I don't believe that. And
There's
the
crone. There we go.
Even then, you would have to get back to Seattle itself to actually be able to call a carriage.
Okay.
So you could potentially do that, although you need to hop aboard a ship from the Mosquito Fleet or walk the long way around.
Okay. Well, let's not get carried away.
So sorry, remind me. So we're in the woods, but where are we right now?
You're in Fremont.
We're in Fremont. That's right.
And I am shocked nobody has groaned about a troll in Fremont yet.
It's where you would find the troll. It makes sense.
So you could head back to the camp bar and kind of rest up there. That would be a fine spot to be able to take a rest, and as far as you can tell, is mostly a safe spot. You, as Bill mentioned, could investigate that ruined church. You also have a couple of leads that you haven't fully followed up on in the actual work site yet, including Roger Burns' right-hand man named Hammer Doug, and you have not ever spoken to Akane herself.
Oh, we do need to get moving on Akane before everyone comes back.
You do have some time on that one. Because remember, it's going to be a train trip of multiple days to get there, convince the guy, and get back.
Okay. I think step number one is, and I just kind of look down at myself, covered in mud as I am. Let's go back to camp. Let's get cleaned up. No one's going to want to talk to us in this state.
All right, sounds good.
All right, so the three of you make your way back through the woods, following that kind of harder and harder to find game trail. You're pretty sure that you'll remember the way, though, and smartly leave a few marks on some of the trees and a few things tied off so you can find your way. You wander through the work site, where workers are continuously hammering down tracks and knocking railroad ties into place. You see several people are trying to straighten some of those massive bent steel bars, and make your way back to kind of the workman's camp. Again, there are people who are shuffling about. There are a few people who are selling small odds and ends items. There is a massive tent city that's kind of sprawled all over the place with people coming and going. And at the kind of the center of it all is a simple bar, which appears to be the only permanent structure in the camp. Heading inside, you see the same woman as before is sitting out the front door, who kind of nods to you, recognizing you from previously. Phoenix, you have dropped an elaborate amount of money into her tin cup, so she doesn't raise that up for you, and just seems to watch you all go by as you head in the door.
Just give her a squeeze on the shoulder as I walk through.
She gives a little bit of a nod, and then kind of tucks back into kind of the robes and tatters that she's wearing. The bar is still busy. The father and son are still working because not too much time has passed. And you see there are still people kind of milling about. You spot Fester Flaghorn still going over his notes in the back.
My nerd buddy.
The nerdiest dude who just loves Tesla. What are y'all going to do?
I will go up to the bar and just order 3 beers.
They are happy to do that. Colm gets one going. He looks over the 3 of you, seems to think about it for a second, and then just kind of shakes his head and says, right, I'm not going to ask any questions.
I will, actually, as he comes over. I appreciate that. I don't suppose there's anywhere a fella could get cleaned up around here.
Yeah, there's some options for that. A couple of boys run a small bath over by the maybe 3 to 5 tents down. Cost of a nickel, get you some warm water and soap.
Okay.
Don't know if we'll be able to get those clothes laundered for you in time, but could at least give it a go.
That's all right. Thank you.
Of course, Mr. Tyus. Or was it Ties?
What did I say? Matthew Ties. Yeah, I think it was, I don't remember.
I believe last time you pronounced it as Matthew Thighs.
Matthew Thighs.
Because, and let me check my notes, you're the worst. Yeah, that's what the notes say. Yeah.
I'm innocent, I tell you.
I checked the notes. That's what they say. So, Colm happily informs you that they've run out to pick up more beer. So thankfully their tainted supply that they ran into before has all been replaced. They don't have much in the way of food on hand, but they're going to be getting another shipment in very soon. But the beer was obviously the priority.
Yeah.
So the 3 of you are served up fresh mugs of beer. And are able to take a minute.
I literally chug mine and excuse myself and pardon both my group and my GM for splitting the party. But I think the first thing on Julian's mind right now, I need to get cleaned up. I am covered in mud. I don't like it. So hearing about this bathhouse, I'm just gonna I'm gonna down the beer, give Colm an appreciative nod and thank you, and just tell you two, I'm sorry, I've got to get this is, this just is not okay. I'm gonna be about 3 to 5 tents down.
I feel like Julian is almost like a little autistic about being dirty. Like, I am now sensory issues. I cannot deal with this. I am not a human being at this moment, and I cannot respond to you. Please get out of my face. I have to go take a bath.
I mean, fortunately, I do have about 38 different outfits in my violin case, so he's covered there. But yeah, no,
But he's also covered, and that needs to be undone.
And that just needs to stop. Yes. So I am going and walking on over to the bath.
So I have good news for you. It is easy to find. There is a large kind of round tent. There is a small group of people who are waiting, and it is a pittance to be able to get a bath here. Can I get a wealth test from you?
A wealth test? What do I roll for this?
Your character's wealth statistic. Because it turns out we've been doing this part wrong the whole game.
Among other things.
So just roll resources.
So Fremont is like right next to Ballard.
Yep. Next to Wallingford and then next to Ballard. Ballard and Fremont even share a border. Creatively called Freelard.
Oh, God.
Not even making that up.
Well, because this is much more important than passing a fear test. So that is 3 successes on 6 dice.
Fantastic.
Of course it is.
Yeah. You've got the nickel needed to get a bath. So Julian is able to cover that cost. Settles in. They've got a large fire going. They've got a couple of kettles going. So they pour those in there. And you're able to get undressed in the privacy of this little tent and just get a hot bath.
And I just tell them to burn those clothes. There's no saving them.
So feeling refreshed and feeling a little more like himself, Julian emerges. Feel free to knock off one mental condition.
Oh.
Yay!
Because bathing facility is one of the services and establishments.
Ha!
Okay.
And that is within the level that you can actually find at the camp.
Well, then I am still angry. I'm still frightened. I'm a little less hopeless. Contrary to what you may have heard from Sofie.
Are the two of you going to be, or pardon me, are the three of you then just going to be kind of resting, drinking some beers, kind of settling in here?
I don't suppose this place offers facilities such as massage services for my physical condition. They don't have that at the rail yards? No? Okay.
Not that you're aware of.
Just checking.
Fremont won't develop that for another 30 to 40 years.
I think Lucius will order another round or two, waiting for. He'll just keep drinking, kind of steadily until Julian gets back.
I also think, and Sofie, I'm not sure if you were kind of musing about this out loud, but I think massage is something that Julian would know very well, and it would be soothing for himself to just put his brain into neutral, and that is just something he can just do. I don't know if this is going to help you. I'm not trying to manipulate conditions here, but if you are musing about that out loud, I think I would offer. It's I don't know that anyone here is going to be able to do that, but Sofie, no one's going to be able to do it as well as I do anyway.
Oh, of course you're right, Julian. Yes, I think I might have just about pulled my shoulder out of the socket when I was crawling through that space earlier.
And you just feel the grip tighten a little heavier on you as you mentioned that. And I just kind of whisper down into your ear, don't ever tell me to go crawling into something like that.
Duly
that is
noted.
Not happening.
I stand alerted, and that is duly noted. I will not ever again, Julian, I swear.
Just kind of a little shudder runs through me, and I just continue with the massage.
I mean, what were the odds of there being something terrible and scary inside of a mostly collapsed building?
Really high. Really high.
What? Never. I wouldn't do that. All right. So I am going to actually say this would qualify for Sofie to use the caretaker talent if she would like to.
Okie dokie.
That would allow you to heal 2 conditions from Sofie and 2 conditions from Julian.
Oh, heck yeah.
Oh. Meanwhile, I guess you're on your own there, Doc.
I'm self-medicating.
Speaking of, another way to heal conditions is to have a brief scene with your memento. Is there anything that Dr. Jensen is thinking about as he's holding that flask and enjoying a beer? Anything that kind of comes to mind? Any previous times he's had that flask that he might reflect on?
I've got some good wine for you, too, if you need it.
We get done with Julian's massage and turn around, and Dr. Jensen is in a corner with his flask in his hand, quoting Hamlet. Having a soliloquy in the dark corner. Dramatic lighting.
No, I mean, you're not wrong, though. So at this point, Lucius is kind of... He's a little beside himself. He... For all the things he's been through, seen so far with this new group of people he's found himself with, he has not yet come things have been. Nothing seems to have escalated quite as quickly as the roof of a house gets tossed 30 to 40 yards into the distance, and he's a little rattled. But you can't, please excuse us, Julian, this is not meant to be directed at you, but you can't just sit there in the dirt and pout and cry. You have to get up, you have to put one foot in front of the other. You can't. I'm a doctor that's been on battlefield war lines. I've heard bullets whizzing by my tent. I've heard cannonballs hit yards away from where I've been. One thing can't let me just fall to pieces. I've been through too much. I'm too strong. And he's just muttering this to himself as he's drinking at the table, because he doesn't know what else to do.
All right, Bill, feel free to take away 2 mental conditions.
Psyching yourself up, man. That's how it works.
I will take away frightened and hopeless. I will remain angry.
I don't think you are actually like musing this out loud to the point where, Julian is overhearing what you're saying. But I just do have a wonderful mental image of I can't just sit on the ground and pout. And Julian just turning over to you. He's got one hip kind of cocked out, hands on his hips, and just pouts at you. I wasn't pouting.
I just imagine Dr. Jensen staring into his reflection on the flask being like, you're good enough, you're smart enough, and doggone it, you do good medicine.
No, that's too new age. He's like, you quit being a pansy, get yourself up, and get
There's
back
no
out there.
crying in Vossen.
Rub some dirt in it, take a salt tablet, and get back out there.
There's an easy fix, by the way, for all of you people with mental conditions. You've got drugs.
Well...
Yeah.
Way to give ourselves more mental conditions, or is that just real life?
Don't worry about consequences. Just play with drugs. Drugs are great.
Are we counting liquor as drugs, or
no? We're counting coca wine as drugs.
I was gonna say only Julian has drugs.
Listen.
You can pick up some laudanum anytime you want,
Doc. I just want you to know, and I put my hand on your shoulder and look you square in the eyes. I is we. And I give you a squeeze.
That's a weird way to say you peed yourself.
Oh, come on, guys.
Wow.
We cannot devolve into pee jokes, or we're going to turn into Exandria Unlimited.
Listen, it's not.
It's not so bad.
I've been practicing my French. It's fine. I was just saying it's fine. Never mind. Shut up.
Are you saying that Julian was overcome by ennui? Or ennui?
Okay, on that note, I'm going to go.
I wasn't saying that, Brian. I wasn't. But
and then Aaron left the podcast.
But
that was pretty good.
It was pretty good. It was.
Well, Bill liked it, so I'm okay.
It's French and a pee joke. It's high class.
That's what we're aiming for. Classy humor. All right. With your minds properly steeled and also numbed by alcohol, and Julian properly demudded, you are once again in a mostly good space and ready to tackle the mystery. This did, however, take quite a bit of time. So you were at the camp bar for most of a day.
Yeah, that's fair. That was not a quick shower that Julian was taking.
And taking the rest action also requires a full day. So you all had a little bit of downtime. There are tents that you could easily get here. There are some cots that can be pulled out by Colm. So you could crash here if you wanted to. But at this point, it is the evening. What would y'all like to do?
I mean, as far as were we bunking down for the night? What are we doing? Or
do you want to push on and keep investigating?
So here within the camp then, because yeah, we're certainly not going anywhere tonight outside of here. So we could be talking to Hammer Doug is here.
He is actually at the rail site.
He's at the rail site, pardon.
So he's at the construction site rather than here in the workman's camp.
Right, that makes sense.
Phoenix, you actually note that is somewhat unusual.
Oh.
Most of the workers come back here to the workman's camp. Almost none of them actually stay at the construction site. There are some night crews who are going, but for the most part, things do kind of settle down in the evening. But when you've asked around a little bit, Hammer Doug doesn't come back from the site. He just stays there. And that is a little bit odd.
Well, if he's always there, wouldn't he have seen what happened the night that... Or is he one of the people that blamed Akane for the destruction of the rail yard?
You don't know.
Well, I've got... Sorry, in my notes, he's like the rail, like the company man enforcer, as opposed to... So yeah, he's got no love for the red bands down here.
Basically, Roger Burns' right-hand man.
Yeah.
Right, but if he's always at the... This is more to the broader point of it might be worth it to go talk to the gentleman. But if he's always at the site, even in the evenings, he must have seen what went on the night that the railway got destroyed.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
And unless he's one of the primary people that blamed Akane, maybe there's something to be learned, at least from that. I don't know. Maybe it would be worth to try and go talk to him and see what's going on.
Could I also ask GM, I'm sorry, because I know you've told us a couple of times already tonight, as far as leads go, is there anyone actually here in the camp that I'm forgetting about?
Not at this point. You could probably find Henry Johnson here again.
Right.
There are other folks that you could talk to in and around camp, either who are kind of siding with the red bands or who are opposed to them.
But of our big target names,
named folks, just Henry.
No one is. Yeah, okay.
There's also Fester, but I don't think you have anything else to ask him. There's Colm and his son Patrick. Colm and Patrick O'Brien. There are a few other people who are at the bar itself, because this is open pretty much 24 hours a day. But no other kind of significant NPCs who you've met.
Well, do we want to go speak to Doug?
It might be worth it to do it now, since there's likely to be less people around. Maybe we can get more out of him, or have it be less of a distraction.
What should we tell him about Roger? We can't tell him he was yoinked by a giant monster, but it might be some sort of information on our part might help our cause and Akane's. I don't know. Or we could just, claim ignorance.
I don't know if he'd be. I don't know how much this man's going to be willing to help out a worker, especially one that's
sure. No, I don't think he's going to help her. I just mean, in terms of getting information from him, us having information to give to him might somehow help us get information from him.
Also, GM, can I ask too? So obviously we saw this giant troll thing. We have the site though. So is it reasonable to believe that? So would my history and my knowledge of how Vossen work for the average person, like he would just be seeing like the rails being torn up seemingly by some unseen force.
That's correct.
Okay.
So for most people, they can only see the Vossen if a Vossen wants them to see them. For people like you with the second sight, you can always see Vossen even when they like to be hidden.
Right.
Does that include the evidence they leave behind, like the footprint? Or like would a regular person just see that as like a regular footprint? Or
that varies a little bit.
I mean, Harry Dresden will tell us that people just believe what they want to believe, regardless of the evidence.
That is kind of how it feels in my mind. Is like it is to us clearly a footprint, and when you tell somebody to look at it, it's like, oh, it's like clearly some sort of a tool dropped down there or something, or
that
there
could
was
be
a bear or something, or right.
So oftentimes, what regular folks will see is evidence of Vossen having been around.
Yeah.
They might feel like a cold pass through them. They might feel a sudden wind that flings open a door. But for somebody with the sight, they would see like a Vossen passing next to them, or they would see them Vossen fling open the door.
Right.
oftentimes when people are forced to confront these phenomena over and over again, that can be something that leads to them developing the site.
Yeah, I was going to say that's when they end up working at the library. or go insane.
Locked in a sanitarium.
Right.
See, Doc, it could have been so much worse.
We don't know what Hammer Doug looks like, correct?
Oh.
Would it be a, I don't think it'd be a far-fetched assumption then that if we go to talk to him, we might be recognized given our interjection with the kerfuffle earlier in the day in the train yard.
Possibly.
Also, did we in fact take pictures of those dead bodies, and did we in fact decide what to do about alerting the authorities to said dead bodies?
You did not take any photos of the dead bodies.
Can we retcon that we did that?
There seemed to be some concern from your allies about having photos of a mass grave.
Okay.
Wait a minute now. I thought I was the one that wanted pictures and the other two said nay.
No, I didn't say nay. We have one voice of reason.
I was just saying it would be suspicious if we had like evidence and knowledge of this thing.
Of some wrongdoing, and we didn't say anything.
Didn't end up saying anything to anybody, and it's like, oh yeah, we took these a week ago. You know.
Yeah, then I think we would have, I think we got distracted, but I think we would have taken the pictures and then decided to
keep them or not.
No, I mean, we would keep them, but we wouldn't like hide it from the authorities. I don't think I would tell them about the pictures, but we could alert them to the fact that, yeah, we ran across this site and there seemed to be dead bodies out there. Maybe perhaps anonymously we could do that. Maybe not we just walk into the thing and do it, but
I will allow that as a retcon.
I mean, are there do we have like a payphone situation we can, I'm kidding.
Not even a pay telegraph. Yeah, you would most likely have to just send a messenger. So like a runner to basically like drop off a letter there or something like that.
Do we have, wouldn't the library have a sort of, what do they call it in Sherlock Holmes? All his little hoodlums that he...
Like an information network?
Yeah, like his little orphans and stuff that he pays them money to, gather information and take messages for him. Like, it seems like something that the library would cultivate, not like a huge network of informants necessarily, but, a couple of trustworthy kids who the library would help out in exchange for, like, running messages and things like that and being discreet.
That is absolutely something the library could have, but you haven't invested in something like that yet.
Is it a thing that you can... God damn it. I need to read the book more. Actually, no, I've read the book. I just don't remember shit. So, are there any like, older kids or teens or anything kind of milling about the...
Not in the bar.
Not in the bar. I mean, in the camp itself.
This is mostly railway workers. So people who are already pre-established here. Do you all head outside of the bar to try and find some folks?
I don't care.
See if this might be something you can follow up on?
Let's just do something else. I'm tired of doing this. It's too much trouble.
That's the spirit.
I mean, if you wanted to try to do something along that line, maybe we're overcomplicating it. There's a bartender here.
That's true.
But so we would just start a rumor or something, or just flat out tell him we found some dead bodies.
I don't know. I'm just saying if you're trying to spread information or trying to gather information, there are worse places than a bartender to do it with.
Okay, that's fair. Then yeah, maybe one of us can just be like,
I mean, I feel like when you say one of us should, I mean, that's going to come down to me trying to make some sort of a manipulation.
I was trying to generalize, but yes, I meant Julian can do it.
Well, but so what is it? So what is it that you want to do? I'm not trying to say that in an accusatory way, but it's like, okay, so if I'm going to have to go ahead and make that persuasion, what is it that we're trying to do?
I'd like to imagine this scene happening with all three of you like clustered around a table in the back, just being like, all right, how are we going to do this?
But the thing is, we can't truly anonymously reporting or alerting people in general to the fact that there's dead people out there won't absolve us of wrongdoing if, as you mentioned, Phoenix, they discover that we have pictures on our camera. We need to, in order to absolve ourselves there, or not absolve ourselves, but, make us less open to blame, we should just go and tell them ourselves. But I don't know if that's wise.
Yeah, and I just thought of something else. So, Brian, tell me how this would work. Because I was just about to say, well, then it sounds like the next thing we need to do is go get those pictures developed. That would be developed by a person who is now looking at our photos that we took, which could be, like, it is not going to be one of those things where there is, like, a private dark room somewhere we can go and get these developed, right?
Yeah, let me guess. Library dark room is an investment, isn't it?
It's not yet. So I'm going to say it's something you could do at the library. It would just take more time.
Yeah. Okay. So let's take a step back. In terms of, okay, so stuff that we need to do. So we need to find out what information you got on those on film, if anything. We want to talk with Doug and see if because we now know that it's suspicious. Not necessarily suspicious, but it sounds like he is typically on site. And so it would be reasonable to assume that he saw something. We still need to talk with Akane herself and get her side of all of this. So...
Did we ever go to the church?
No.
And we haven't gone to the church either. And sorry, remind me, what's at the church? What were we doing there?
The steeple fell down of the church, and that's when, quote unquote, all the problems started. Oh, that would make sense if the troll, like, if something happened to the steeple and it was super loud, the troll would come and be like, hey, this fucking sucks, I'm gonna destroy.
No, or even simpler than that, it's a Christian symbol.
Oh, yeah, good point.
Listener, you can't see it, but I just made finger guns at everybody.
Yeah, like, I mean, so if that is somewhere near his property, near his realm or domain, whatever he considers it to be, then yeah, he probably would have snapped it off just like he did the roof of the...
Actually, that's a good point. Is that with the church being destroyed, is that the only church in the local area that, like, was it recently built?
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't even think it was finished yet. I think
it was not.
Okay, so I'm going to say that's actually pretty low on our priority list then of things to investigate until we're ready to maybe have a confrontation with the troll.
Right.
Because that tells me that he's somewhere in that nearby area. Although I guess we've also got tracks that we know that we can follow as well, regardless.
But still, we know why he did that, so
that's
not really a
reasonable.
mystery.
Yeah. So, okay. Is there any information that we think we can get or want to try to get? Yeah, you know what? We can go talk to Doug, see what he knows, see what he saw, if anything. We don't have to mention anything about what we've seen today. And just kind of get his story as far as, what did you see that night?
It's fair.
We'll probably need some sort of a cover that... and Brian, you said we have not met this person yet, so he
Correct.
Doesn't know me as, like, the Californian union rep.
Nope.
Okay. That's important. Because he probably would not want to talk to us if that were the case. If I'm looking for some sort of not a police cover, but, like, would it be reasonable to, like, drop the name of, like, Denny or Yesler in terms of they've sent us to try to learn more about what went down here? Shooting too high?
Would probably be a bit of a stretch.
Okay.
Maybe you could just say you're a lawyer or something.
Okay, so attorney for the rail. Okay.
Podcast host log. Commander Brian reporting. Star date 1888. We continue to observe the actions of the crew of the library in 1800 Seattle. Their pursuit of this apparent supernatural creature continues in a notably circuitous path, leading us to question our assumptions about intelligent life here on Earth. Is this being, perhaps, a Klingon-Gorn hybrid, as our science officer speculates? Will we be able to make contact without violating the Prime Directive? How will we return to the modern era with our starships and tachyon particles and utopian vision of society? Oh, is this thing still recording? Well, hello! I wanted to jump in and tell you about another actual play podcast series that is just out of this world. It's called Starship Tempest. And as you might have picked up on from my terrible impression, it's a Star Trek Adventures podcast. The show is set in between the original series and Next Generation. Now, honest fact about me, I grew up with TNG, and listening to Starship Tempest has made me want to go back and do a huge Star Trek binge. You can hear how much the folks on the show love Star Trek, and if you enjoy it too, I think you're going to love this show. Give their trailer a listen, and once you do, go tell Lieutenant Eel that Spirits and Monsters sent you. Here's the crew of the Tempest to tell you a little bit more.
Starship Tempest, a genre-bending Star Trek podcast set between the times of Captains Kirk and Picard that brings you an actual play campaign.
Look at all those! 2, 3, 4, 5 successes.
Tell you what, in retconning, you can make it a difficulty 5.
With professionally designed audio drama elements.
Captain, we'll be within range of their weapons in 5 seconds.
With alacrity, Holden.
With firing.
Hang on! Nick! All while a group of lifelong friends foiled the GM's attempt at legitimate storytelling.
If you had done better on the sensor roll, then maybe your sisters would tell you.
Teal's best assessment is, I think it's Muppet Man.
Captain, we got Muppets.
We got Muppets.
Now rise for the Klingon anthem.
Peace depends on that power generator. So here we are.
Remember your training. Hold the line. Fire!
Can you tell him the tale of Gilgamesh?
Roll to tell him the tale of Gilgamesh.
Warning. Warp containment critical.
All hands abandon ship. I repeat, all hands abandon ship.
While this is happening, I'm describing the complete plot of the movie Jack to Governor Surreal.
It is definitively not Jack's.
Okay, which is good, because Todd McCarthy of Variety called it tedious, uneventful fantasy.
So you just prevented Tashi R from having a really bad childhood.
Oh.
And fixed that planet, which was still at war when we went there.
Starship Tempest, available wherever you get your podcasts.
All right, so you're heading out to go back to the work site and try and find Hammer Doug?
Yeah, I think that seems... I mean, I don't know what else we can do at this time of day, apart from... Yeah.
All right. The three of you pay your bar tab, say goodnight to Patrick O'Brien, and head out the door. However, a short ways down the path towards the construction site, you begin to hear a bit of a commotion. You spot a scuffle breaking out between a bunch of the railway workers. Some of those with red bandanas prominently tied about their arms, and some without. Right now, it's at the stage of, yelling and shoving. But this could turn violent.
Is that any of our concern?
It's up to you.
I'll kind of turn to check to make sure Sophie's not charging forward.
Sofie is conflicted. She does not think that necessarily this is her concern, but also, or our concern, but also, she's vibing with the workers. So she's like, I want to go help, but maybe we should concentrate on the task at hand.
I mean, it's worked once. I can maybe try again. I can just offer him free drinks over at the bar. Just call it out. This is a very, if I learned something from Gale in Act 1 of Baldur's Gate 3, calling out for a free round for everybody. Worked in the yawning portal. It should work here.
If you'd like to try it, make a manipulation test.
And just get them to, you know what? Sure, I'll go for it. And, all right, manipulation. I'm good at those. Oh no.
Uh-oh.
Just one success on 9 dice.
Hey.
There was 0 in my first 6. So yeah, I kind of call over to them and just be like, "Hey, everybody, rounds on me over at the over at Colmes."
So that is enough to at least kind of get their attention, and they sort of like shoulder up and square up to each other, and seem willing to drop it for now.
And then I will make my way back over and make sure to pay for this.
However, Phoenix, you happen... by the way, are you wearing one of the red bandanas right now?
I think yes. I think I would be... Oh, shoot. Yeah, I would be right now. On site, I would be. I would be taking it off before we went to go meet with Doug, but hell, I didn't even think of that. I probably would be.
As they are walking past, one of the railway workers kind of lags behind a little bit and claps you on the shoulder and just leans in close and whispers, "It's probably going down tomorrow. Strike's coming."
Oh, okay.
Well, enjoy that beer.
He again kind of like taps you on the shoulder, gives you a nod, and then hops to join with his companions.
Would you like some cocaine?
You notice that they are walking in 2 very distinct groups who are starting to like shoot like dagger glares at each other.
And I don't know that this is going to do anything, but I think it primarily just for flavor, I think. But as I am heading over to Coleman Patrick and making sure that I'm paying for this round that I've just ordered, I'll just kind of mention to him, "Hey, anything you can do to just kind of dial down the temperature, just keep it as civil as can be. I'm not asking for miracles, but anything you can do would be appreciated."
Patrick gives you a nod because at this point Colm is sleeping in the back.
Okay.
And Phoenix, can I get a wealth check from you?
Yes. So
roll
that is my
them
resources. Okay.
Yep.
2 successes on 6 dice.
All right. You've got enough petty cash that you can drop it down and be able to afford a round of beer for these gentlemen. And Patrick is going to see what he can do about keeping the mood chill. He's not sure he can promise any miracles, though, so in the next few days, something might give.
So, okay, this... sorry, I feel like I'm fixating on this too much at this point, but... because I don't even know what I'm trying to prevent. It's fine. It's fine. Can I... This is probably stupid, but I'm going to do it anyway, and you can tell me if this would be the right way to do it. Either an additional manipulation test or just using that 1 capital that I have remaining and just tell him, bring out the good stuff, keep him happy, just keep it flowing. Just... Although now I'm going to get a bunch of rail workers drunk.
That's bound to go well.
Never mind. Sorry. I'm focusing too much on this. Let's move along.
All right. The 3 of you head back out. You head back to the railway site and start kind of poking around looking for where you can find Hammer Doug. Now, it doesn't take too long to learn that Hammer Doug has a large set of tents that he has been living in. And he has barely come out in the last few days. It's particularly easy to find at night because there are a number of hurricane lanterns that have been set up around his tents.
He's freaked out. He saw something for sure. Yeah.
And you are able to see that there are about a half dozen guys who are watching his tent.
Like they're on watches and guarding the tent, or they're
on watch.
You're like guarding him,
or they're observing him.
Like on guard.
Okay. Well, this might be interesting. I'll kind of look over to Julian. We might need you to help us get past talk our way past some of these guards just to see if we can get to this hammer Doug.
Yeah, with my eyes fixed straight ahead, looking at this group of bodyguards around this tent. Oh, yeah, you think? You don't want to do it? You don't want to do that? Yeah.
Oh, we could let Dr. J try. He could, be rude to them for 15 solid minutes, and then we could all, have to escape some way.
I'm sorry if telling them the truth is considered rude.
And with that, Julian snaps his fingers. That's actually not a bad idea. You're a doctor. He's clearly in bad shape. Maybe you just need to go examine the man. It would give us a perfect excuse for privacy as well. How would you like me to introduce you?
You could be a physician for the company, the railroad, who, and the railroad's attorney, with you to investigate the health of the workers and the management. Perhaps. I don't know. It's just an idea.
I mean, we can. I just, given our earlier interactions earlier today, I worry that we might be recognized. But he'll just kind of shrug his shoulders. Why not? Let's give it a shot.
Can I do anything, Brian, with either the makeup or costumes that I keep with me just to help, I'm certainly not trying to pull out full on prosthetics or anything, but just anything that I can do to try to maybe make Dr. Jensen look a little bit different, just at a casual glance.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, the costumes could definitely take care of that. It is enough that basically you could kind of hide his identity,
and I'll do the same for myself as well. So okay,
assumedly Sofie as well.
And no, she can just, because she doesn't stand out at all. I mean, holding that big bandolier sack of skirt books.
I can put I can't put my books anywhere. Sorry, you guys. I was going to say I could leave the skirt and then, I'm wearing pants, so it's not as recognizable. But no, I'm not leaving my books. Fuck that.
I mean, I'm sure there's totally room for it in my violin case of holding. I don't think there's room for it.
That may be the thing that's finally too far.
Yeah.
Phoenix, do you know what happens when you put a skirt of holding in a violin case of holding?
What happens, Brian? What happens?
Nothing good.
I take her skirt and I stuff it into the violin case.
No, Phoenix, you'll rip a hole into the astral plane.
Yeah, exactly. A temporal something or other.
Guys, don't worry, I took care of it. We don't have to solve the mystery anymore.
We do have to fight a Githyanki, though.
I don't know. I feel like Phoenix or really Julius would be in trouble because he just basically threw away all of Sofie's books.
Oh yeah. In fairness, if he ripped open a hole into the astral plane, he would have far bigger problems. This would suddenly become a D&D podcast, and we can't have that.
I don't know. I think Sofie might murder him on the spot.
Oh, for sure.
Last massage for you, Sofie.
Focusing in on the plan at hand.
So, yes, I will go ahead and do up disguises for the three of us as best as I can. Do I need to make any sort of a check on that, or?
Nah.
No, okay.
That will just be having used the costumes for this mystery.
Okay.
I am assuming you are also taking off your bandanas at this time?
Definitely.
Absolutely.
All right, you make your way over to the tent. The guards are on high alert. You notice they are also armed.
I refrain from peeing a little and stride up confidently and just kind of going straight for the front door, essentially, to the tent, or the front flap of the tent. And I will, not even saying anything, I'm just going to go ahead and kind of tip my cap, if I'm wearing one, to the guards, and literally just try to walk my way straight through.
I'll follow step.
As soon as you try to do that, the two of them go shoulder to shoulder, and one looks you dead in the eyes and says, "What do you think you're doing?"
What do I think? What do I think I'm doing? I'm going to check on my client here, and I point over to Dr. Jensen. We understand this man is not in a good situation. We've brought Dr. Sidney Hawkins, MD, here to make sure that he's going to be okay. Pardon, Gordon. Pleasure to meet you, Esquire.
The two of them look at each other and then look at you.
I smile.
Phoenix, give me a manipulation test.
Okay. Do I get any bonuses on this with the costumes, or?
I'll give you the costumes bonus on this.
All right. That is 2 success on 10 dice.
All right. It takes you a few minutes of talking to them because they know they didn't send for a doctor, and they know Doug didn't send for a doctor. So they are wondering why a doctor is here.
Because the company cares about its employees.
Well,
they definitely know that.
No. If it comes down to that, and I know, but it's like, as my lawyer persona, I'm just telling them all sorts of stories about. Yeah, no, we're bringing the doctor in here and making sure that he's not faking anything here, making sure that he's okay. We don't want him to take any action against the company.
If we've already lost our foreman and now his right-hand man is down, we're going to be losing money. We're going to be behind schedule. We need to be focusing on this.
Do you want to tell them about this? Do you want to tell them that you're the reason that they're getting sued?
After a little back and forth, they are willing to allow the doctor in to speak to him. They are not sure about the rest of you lot. Unless you want to try and push that roll, Phoenix.
I mean, I've got 3 conditions back. I mean, I'm back, baby.
Yeah, I got to take you back down a peg.
Don't push it on my account. I don't want to go in there, so...
Well, I mean, and yeah, you know what? I'm not going to try to metagame it. I am thinking about it's like, well, yes, I should be there to make manipulation tests, but if I did go in with the cover of I need to bring the doctor to him, I just brought the doctor to him. So I'm Bill. It's in your hands, Dr. J.
Okay.
Please do not fuck it up.
And I'm just going to go ahead, give you a pat on the back, and and I will just spend, as long as he is in there, I will just be chatting up the guards with a bunch of bullshit, just as best as I can for however long he's in there.
All right.
Mostly trying to just distract them from listening and trying to pay attention to what's going on in there.
And by the way, whenever we removed the red things, I put my skirt back on. So I now have 80 pounds of skirt again.
Sounds good. Bill, this is a very, very large tent, and it is a complete disaster inside. There's a cot, a camp stool, and there are empty wine bottles everywhere.
Oh dear.
Looking over several labels, you recognize that it is from the same brand and manufacturer as Julian's cocoa wine.
Oh.
Doug himself could be generously called, well, let's just say his nickname of Hammer Doug mostly stems from his facial features.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Hammer Doug.
Well, he's also that. He's got a very flat nose, round cheekbones, and a big, broad forehead that he tries to cover with a hat. His eyes are really small and super bloodshot, and he's wearing a dirty blue coat stained with mud, dirt, and what looks like some wine. And he has a little bump of cocaine stuck in his mustache.
Oh my god. Saving it for later.
Who are you? What are you doing in my tent?
My apologies for the intrusion. You must be Douglas, correct? Or what was the Hammer Doug? I think that's what I heard they refer to you outside.
Yeah, I'm Doug. Who are you? Wait a minute. I know you from somewhere, don't I?
Bill. Dr. Jensen notices that in the middle of the room,
oh no,
on the small table, next to some half-full bottles of cocoa wine and just some lines of cocaine, is a revolver.
I thought you were about to say there's someone that Dr. Jensen is like close to, is just like in there with him and recognizes him. I was like, oh God.
Not yet. Don't worry about that.
Hey, enough with the foreshadowing.
Shit, I am so goddamn terrible with names. Phoenix, what did you say my name was?
I put it into the chat just for you there.
Oh, thank you.
I'm Doctor, don't worry about it.
Dr. Matthias
Doctor,
at
mind
your
your
service.
own damn business.
I mean, that also works. Lean into it, man. Lean into it. Don't be me. Be you.
So I'll just kind of look at him, take a look around. You said there's empty bottles like kind of at my feet.
There's wine bottles, there's beer bottles, there's cocoa wine. This man is hopped up on quite a bit.
Well,
he is jittery. He's got bloodshot eyes. He looks exhausted and has a bit of a twitch.
Well, I'm Dr. Hawkins. The company sent me down. Are you okay? This looks like you're in quite the state here.
Hawkins, have you been spying on me, Hawkins?
Spying? No, I'm talking about, and he just shows, like, spreads his arms around, like, there could be a little bit of tidying up, if you're looking to hide your, proclivities here.
Oh, Doc, I've done some things. I've done some things I'm not proud of.
Oh.
Oh no. I can't sleep. Anytime I try and sleep, I see it.
You see it? See what?
Oh, this motherfucker got the sight on accident.
He jumps up off of the cot that he was sitting on and just snatches up the revolver and starts kind of looking around the room in a jittery way.
I've seen it. In the corners. In the shadows. It's watching. Haven't you seen it? Don't you know what it is?
I mean, technically, yes.
I will slowly but steadily come up to the table, move some of the bottles aside, and just put my medical bag, on the table. Doug, put the gun down. Tell me what you've seen, and for God's sakes, take a deep breath.
All right, now, for the greatest roll of the game, everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Bill, can I get a manipulation test from you?
Oh, can he get, hey, he's got the disguise. Can't he get some help from that or something? Because Dr. Jensen is so good at convincing people of stuff.
He is.
Dr. Jensen, I believe in you.
Now, Bill, I do just want to point out, you do have an advantage that could be used here.
I was going to ask, would I be able to use my weight lifted, kind of give a deep breath, collect myself, and I can focus on this. I can get through this.
But what I would even say is, in this situation, a weight lifted from you, this is a path you could have wound up on. If you'd been exposed to the site without having allies, without having the library, you could have fallen down a dark path like this. Denial and trying to avoid it. So there is a little bit of sense of a weight lifted of, I could have fallen down this left-hand path.
Okay.
But I'm starting to make sense of a mad world.
A little bit.
As much as I can.
Okay.
So yeah, I'd let you use your advantage and get +2 dice on this.
All right. So that would be...
I also have some advice. Don't fuck it up.
I believe in you, Dr. J.
So, I'm going to be using your dice here. So this would be, I have an empathy of 2 because, yeah. And with my 2 dice, I also have still 1 mental condition, so that should be 3 dice I am rolling.
Correct.
Okay.
666. Here it is.
Well,
662.
That is one success on 3 dice.
Hey.
All right. Do you want to try and push that roll?
Listeners, Do you hear how peer pressure-y Brian is? Like, every time he wants us to push the roll so bad because he wants us to, like, disintegrate into nothingness because it would be really fun for him. And I just want you to know that we have to, like, resist every single time.
You've made it 23 episodes without disintegrating into nothingness. Y'all are doing great.
Uh-huh.
That being said, Lucius will want to at least play along with this as much as he can to try and get as much information out and he also doesn't, want to set off the psycho with a pistol in front of him. So,
all right, so you're gonna try and push it?
I will push it.
All right, roll those 3 dice.
That is one more additional success on the 2
dice.
dice.
Nice.
Right.
Well done.
I believed in you from the start. Always knew you had it in you, Doc.
So you are talking to him, and in some ways, this kind of brings Dr. Jensen back for a minute. Dr. Jensen is not good at talking to people. But he has been forced to talk to people who are on the edge. In moments when he's had to explain to them that, no, son, you don't have that leg anymore. He has needed to get them through moments of crisis. And every now and then, it does help. He's able to do it. Not always well, and sometimes a little too brusquely. But he's able to figure out just the right words to say to Hammer Doug. And this man just begins to confess everything to you. In a spew of words, he tells you that he had orders from Roger Burns about the expansion of the streetcar.
Okay.
About how he and a number of the men were going to go out for a special job that Roger had arranged, as there was property in the direction the streetcar needed to go.
Oh.
And it was their job to get that property clear.
Oh, dear.
He sets down the gun, and he is just crying into Dr. Jensen's chest and says, I knew it were wrong at the time, but Roger said we had to. That girl who couldn't talk or hear, we shouldn't have kicked her out of her house and burned it down, but we done had to. But ever since, that's when the monster's been there. I saw it that night, Doctor. Dr. Hawkins, I saw it drag away Roger. I could only see it through the corner of my eye, but I could smell it. That smell of rot and decay. You can always smell it before you can see it. And I smelled it around this tent at night. It's getting closer. It's coming for me next. I know it is.
You're damn right it is.
And he just, curls up on the floor. And we slowly pan out, leaving the tent behind, as Julian is continuing to talk to these folks, and Sofie is taking notes, and Dr. Jensen is left with a human mess on the floor.
A coked out human mess.
A coked out human mess. And we slowly pan back to the workman's camp.
Uh-oh.
And focus in on that mysterious woman sitting curled up in front of the bar, who might just be the key to finding out the secret of this mystery. But we'll find out more from her next time.
Oh, come on.
Damn it.
Just a little bit more.
We got another 30 minutes, Brian. Come on.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Spirits and Monsters of Old Seattle. Our theme song is Myths and Legends by Robert Bruckmeyer, which is playing right now. Our music is by Andreas Lundström, and you can hear more of his work on the Sweden Rolls podcast. Link in the show notes. Our editor is Hannah Cheney. If you're enjoying this show, please take 2 minutes to rate and leave a review on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get podcasts. I know every podcast says it, but it really does make a difference and helps us continue to grow the show. Finally, remember the motto of the library. Fear gives way to knowledge. Knowledge gives way to wisdom. And wisdom gives way to the truth. Until next time.